master barber thing is over.
Yeah,
they don't have to do that.
And I think it's overrated too. Because, you can't, I don't think it's fair to just graduate as a master barber. I don't think.
Right.
Because that's disrespectful to a lot of people that's
built it.
That's really built it, that really put in the work for this. Like me, I'm a good barber, but I would not consider myself a master, man. I'm just. And so, people.
Yeah, but the building, the building of the business part of it.
Because I went to school for it.
And I think, and here's the deal, I think what I see from a lot of these young guys is they just think it's quick money. And, it's and it can be because the money's going like this, right? But you're getting it here and it's going out right away.
Right, and the thing that is going to get you paid, just like with this podcast, is consistency.
Right.
Consistency is what gets you paid, not jumping around from shop to shop, place to place. When things get hard, the booth rent get high, you can't get along with people, you're not getting walk-ins. Everything begins with you as the operator. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that you're everything. You're your own marketing advertiser, the HR, you're everything, man. You're the manager, you got to make your own schedule, you got to, oh my God, and so it takes years of practice to get good at that stuff.
Right. Well, what I want to do first of all is I'd like to get you back up and running.
Yeah, so let's handle that.
And we can do that, right? Do you have account information? Because it takes 5 minutes on the phone here. I call the home office, boom, we get it done. And then we can discuss more stuff. To be able to get to connect with people here and let them promote themselves a little bit too. I mean, this is the gal. Okay, so I met this gal real quick before we start this. I met this gal last week I was subbing for one of the BNIs, the networking things. One of my colleagues was out of state, and they can only miss so many, and she goes, would you step in for me? And I said, sure. And it was up here on 85th Street. And I met this gal, Mina. She's on the 615C.
Oh, okay.
And we talked for a while, and she's getting into that BNI. Well, that's like $700 a year. I mean, and it might be a good thing. I mean, but there's other things you can do too. You know what I mean? So, but when you said you're in this building, I'm like, oh my God, I know there's a ton of businesses here, and how do you connect with them is right, because I've knocked on doors before here, because that's what I do. And there's a lot of times when obviously there's no one here. So how do you find that?
Right. And so what I was gonna do, because some of the people I probably know about 10 people here, 10 different businesses here. So I'm gonna start off with them. Because once I go to one business, I'm going to find out about the other businesses that they know about and go on from there and go on from there.
Right. It's kind of a referral base. Yeah. And it's big for me, too, as I work off of referrals. Right? It's important for me because I do touch a lot of doors every day.
Okay.
But I like warm doors.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Phil. With the insurance that you got, with the businesses here, how can your insurance benefit the people here in these kind of businesses? So the people with boutiques, people like me who's got a podcast, like how does your insurance work? Does it protect the individual or does it protect the business itself?
Very good question. We protect the individual from something critical happening to you. If you can't work, you're not making money. More financial strife is caused to people who are self-employed by getting injured or critically sick and not being able to work than dying. It's a simple fact. I'm not making light of the life insurance part of it. And I finally got my date when I can go take my test in October, so that's nice.
Okay.
But people don't realize that if you can't work, you're not making money, and your family's usually struggling too then. Especially a lot of people in these industries are single parents.
Right.
there's only one income coming in. They don't have that dual income, and that's what I'm a single guy myself, single parent, 3 kids, and you know, for me, it's important to have money coming in if something happens, and that's why my business is very important to people who are entrepreneurial and work for themselves. And
so, and now one last question with this insurance. Do they, like, say if somebody get hurt, do they have to be hurt while working or hurt? Because, no. You know, a lot of people... I
pay for the injury, not time off work. So if you can work while you're hurt, I'm dealing with a kid who got shot down in St. Paul. He's one of my clients down there.
Okay.
He was able to go back to work. So, but, you know, I'm paying for his doctor bills and some of the injuries that he had, you know. So we pay for that stuff. And we pay, unlike short-term disability or long-term disability, we pay whether you're working or not. So if you have short-term disability, it's great for planned things like pregnancies, things like that. But for the unexpected, you have to be off work for at least probably 15 to 30 days before you can even probably start to collect. And then after about 120 days, you're kind of kicked out of the program again. So it's where our program is. We pay you for this kid who got shot. He had doctor's bills, he had MRIs, he had certain things he had to go get taken care of. So we pay him one lump. We pay for the injury, not hourly wages. We're a tax-free benefit, and we're tax deductible. So you can write 7-10% of it off. It's not $1 million, but it certainly can. I like to tell guys, put as much as you can into it, because it's stuff nowadays. They're not letting you write anything off anymore, but this is a health benefit, so you can write this off, and you can expand your coverage, and you can expand your hidden money, and with the return of premium, you know, your money's going back to you or a beneficiary if, God forbid, something happened to you. So that's the thing, too. You know, all 3 ways with our company, your money stays with you.
And so then if a person had to be off work, they'd be... essentially, y'all would help.
So if they're off because of an accident, injury, cancer, heart, something like that, yeah, we continue. We have no lifetime limits on what we're paying them. So we're paying for all their surgeries. We're paying for chemo, radiation, things like physical therapy after heart attacks, things like that we just keep paying and paying on while you're getting yourself better. And then we throw a big lump sum of money at you right away. So, you know, if you got cancer, we send you $6,000 immediately right into your bank account because you're not working. So we like to make sure you can care for yourself. Same thing with heart attack. That's what we send you. We send it at different levels. Like at the standard level, it's $1,500. Preferred level, it's $3,000. So, you know, and I would show people that, but we send a lot of tax-free money to you right away. And like I said, the big thing, if you come up with cancer and you have short-term disability, you have to not work.
Right.
With us, we're paying you. You can come back to work whenever you feel like you want to. We don't say, no, you have to be off work. You know, once you're, you know, and that's the big thing. People kind of get lost. There's that gap where they don't get money for 60 to 90 days. Well, by that time, they're freaking underwater.
Right, yeah.
You know, and then they're getting 55-60% of their wages, and that's getting taxed. So there's, you know, that's one thing I really love about us. We're a post-tax company, so all of that money that you get if something did happen to you is tax-free money. We don't send you a 1099. Okay? So, and we have no lifetime limits. My first cancer patient just, she was from Bay City, Wisconsin. She had a double mastectomy in 2019. She called me a month ago and she's got a second bout of cancer coming, you know, and she goes, I just wanted to call you and tell you. I said, well, let's get you going because we're going to get you some money. And she goes, I didn't think I could use you again because I've already had cancer once. We have no lifetime limits, so we can we can never cap people, and there's no threshold where we can cut you off. We can cut people off for one reason. That's non-payment. That's it. And we don't even do that right away. Like I said, I get advised. I get an email. I just worked with a guy yesterday, changed bank accounts. He forgot he had this. It happens every single day. Right. You know, people change their accounts, whether it be theft, change of business, change of, you know, some people just like to move things around. So I just called the home office, boom, we got him started back up. And everything stays where he was at. You know? So that's what I wanted to do. I got this email last night. I get them at 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to call today. I had a couple meetings early in the morning, and I was going to call you during the day here.
Okay, yeah, perfect, Bill.
But I want to get you started again. And yeah, so our benefits, and that's our benefits to people are twofold: tax-free, no lifetime limits. You know, you're basically we can't say no to a renewal. You're automatically renewed each year. You know, the only thing we can cut people off for is non-payment. And like I said, that's which makes sense, right? I mean,
so how does the referral program work? Because you were saying something.
Well, what I can only do so much. So like for me, I give you so $25 for a person, $50 for two. If I sign 3 people up, I give you $100.
Okay.
And then that's just what I can. I can't legally do anything over and above that. But I can personally. Those are kind of the levels that I go. You know, 25, 50, or if you give me 3, then I'll give you 100 instead of going up to 75 and then 100. But so that part of it to me, because referrals are big for me. I mean, a warm door is better than any cold door. I'm not afraid to walk into any cold door. I think you know me.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've walked into your industry. I got 150 barbers under my belt. I mean, in the metro area, there's nobody who works with barbers like I do, and stylists and stuff. I mean, I'm not afraid. First of all, I kind of fell in love with the industry before the pandemic, because I loved walking I love the community feel of it. You know, every time I walked in, there's 10, 12 guys in there BSing, and and I used to get some looks, but there was guys in St. Paul who helped me, big cuts over Fat Man, B Cole. There's a lot of guys who helped me. Introduce me to more people referral wise, and that's big for me, because warm doors. Once I get I want to show the whole community this. I could work in Hunyook, Minnesota. I don't want to. I love being up here.
Right.
I think you know me.
Yeah,
I've been up here. I'm always up here. I work this area. Like I said, I work East St. I kind of work the whole 694, 494. So I'm from Hastings, so I kind of work like Woodbury, but then I move in right up like Fridley and Columbia Heights and all of that area, and then I come into Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center here, and then I loop down. I've got clients on 38th in Chicago. I work with community organizers down there.
How did you even get into the insurance like this, man?
Well, here's the deal. So I had my restaurant, and then I got tired of it, and then I got into. I went down and worked down at the Prairie Island Nuclear Facility, right? And one day I'm sitting in there, and I felt like and I'm just going to tell you that I felt jailed, because every day you had to go through the metal detectors and stuff, because they're very secure places.
Because you said it's a nuclear, right?
Yeah, it's very secure places. So every day, and I'm like, one day I'm just sitting there, I'm waiting in line, and it's just kind of like, what am I doing here? Because I liked people. I was in the restaurant business since I was 14, So I went, and it was a great paying job, great insurance, but I hated it, and I just up and quit. I didn't have another job. I just up and quit. Well, then I went and got licensed. I went and worked in sales for a buddy of mine who had a dairy business, right? So I worked with him for a couple of years, and then just to kind of get back into the flow of being around people, and then I went and got licensed for this. And what I liked about this company is we really help people, and I love like the little things like the return of premium, things like that, where people's money is important to them. So this money staying with them is important to them, and that's. But when I first started coming into, I was Tommy McBriar, 38th in Chicago. He's one of my clients. When the George Floyd thing happened, I was up there. I mean, I got my tapes of it and stuff. I mean, I went and saw Tommy right away, and he goes, "You were here long before this happened," and I'm like, I felt bad for a lot of people up there because it was a bad deal. Deal. So, but I've never been afraid to go into any part of, and I've been called a lot of shit. Who cares?
Can't let no get in the way of that money, man. Well, you can't,
right? But the thing is too, everybody should see this. I've had so many people who've said, I didn't know there was something like this around. And I'm like, well, that's my job. It's not easy for me because I still get blown away a lot of times. I mean, just nobody's going to talk to me, and I get that. But all I like to do is try to get to sit down with people, show them what I do, and they really like it. And they really kind of like, wow, it's important to protect yourself a little bit in case, because shit happens to people nowadays.
Yeah, it does.
And here's the deal. I hear a lot of times from these young guys, after Cody, he was the barber that he had my policy, and he got shot and killed, and we paid his life piece to his family. I've had a lot of young guys who just say, I just want to bury myself. And that's, for me to hear that, and you've heard that.
Yeah.
You've lived that.
It's real.
Well, but when I hear that, I'm like, holy shit, these guys are real. Well, I said, here's the deal, What I do kind of protects you. I dealt with 3 shootings. Cody's, and he passed away. Paris Patton, who has a shop up in Hopkins. And then this kid in St. Paul that I'm working with right now. And these guys worry about being on the, not necessarily being on the wrong side, but being in the wrong place. And they worry about it. And they don't lie to me. These kids are in their, they're mid-20s, and that's what a lot of those shop owners really like. Like in St. Paul, B. Cole and stuff, he goes, I want you to show all my guys this. He goes, I just want them to see it. I don't care if they tell me no, because it's next guy up for me. But, it's things like that. He goes, these guys don't realize how important stuff like that is.
And that's the thing. I think that when you talking to people, especially people that they just want to shoot you down, you got to go straight to what's important. What they getting out of it, because every person nowadays, they want to know, what am I getting? If I'm paying you, what am I getting? Right. And so, like for you, like how you just went right to the meat. Like, look, if you pay for this right away, it ain't no cap. It ain't no cap on the amount of time we can have. If they don't understand that, so then you got to get more in deep. Look, if you get hurt, this is what you're gonna get. Flat out, this is what happens, this is what you're going to get. Because that's what people want to know. They want to know, if I pay, what do I get?
Right.
And I think that the way you just broke this down, I mean, this is a good deal. This is actually a really, really great deal. So what about pricing?
Pricing is done by age. So, how old are you?
So I'm 38.
As far as... and I can take care of kids too, which a lot of people like. You can get a single parent policy if you got kids that are 12, 13 years old and playing sports and breaking their arm.
Yeah, because I've been hearing about a couple kids that got messed up recently.
Right, and so my kid tore his labrum last summer. He's a college baseball player, so he thinks he's Byron Buxton, running through the balls and shit.
Yeah.
You got to be smart, Byron's never healthy either. I'm like, but he's really good. But sometimes you got to maybe think about your body a little bit so you stay available. But so he tore his labrum, and so We paid for the doctor visit, the MRI, the surgery, the shoulder dislocation, the physical therapy, all of that paid in. And he got $5,000-6,000 for that. I put it right into his college fund.
Mm-hmm.
It's his money, right? You know, but that's how it works. I deal with it's very important to me. I like to talk to families who've got. I talk to a lot of guys who have 6 kids, you know, and I'm like, well, how old are they? You know, and then they tell me, and it's like, as long as they're 18, under 18, and they're your kids, I can protect them. So a lot of these guys, like, you know, kids are active, kids get hurt.
Yeah.
I've had my program. I've used it a couple times, but I've used it 3 times for my kids. So it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of nice to have that. And like I said, I'm a single dad. And that money's freaking important coming in to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, you know, it's just, we don't think about this stuff until something happens. And that's the big thing about our company, too, or about what we do for a living, what I do for a living is my job is to try to sit down with people because there's only 2 times when people think about it. And that's when when you let me sit down with you. And the other time is usually when, you know. Yeah. And I tell them. And they're like, you know, they answer the question. They're like, well, when something happens. And I'm like, for me, that's too late. You know, my job is to get you when you're healthy. I can still protect you in different ways, but it just, you know, then there comes exclusions, things like that come into play, possibly. You know, but, you know, like I always tell people, the time is now. And I've had, well, I'm just real quick. Brittany down at Styles, right next to your
Beast out.
I went and saw her on a Friday. She said, "Come back on Monday." I went back on Monday.
I remember you told me this story.
She had fallen off a ladder. She was in her shop. She had fallen off a ladder and tore her ACL.
You told me this story.
And she's still. I went and saw her last week, and
I think what it is.
She bought my policy. Even though I couldn't protect her knee, I could protect the rest of her body.
Right.
But she's like, you tell people.
I think what it really is, though, Phil, is that we all think it'll never be us.
Oh, sure.
I think that's what we all are guilty of, is that we think it'll never be us.
And if I can say it, and I don't think you're going to disagree with me, young black men, they're Teflon.
It's real. It's 100% real, man.
And they're tougher than hell, and they're like, a lot of them have grown up in a situation where they've had to be kind of tough.
I think some people just face the truth that when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
But they don't think about the end. Like, when it's time, you still got stuff out here that needs to be taken care of. There's people that still have to be there for you. There's people, you know, the stuff still got to be done.
Cody's okay. So, Quenisha wrote this for me, and I think I've read it to you. But after we paid Cody off, you know, I went to her son's 5-year-old birthday party. We just went and had a late lunch the other day over in St. Paul, right over in the Rondo area.
Oh yeah.
So if you listen to this, she goes, if it weren't for Phil's help and support on making sure Cody paid his premiums and staying on me to follow through to have this policy paid out, I don't know if we'd be this blessed. Doesn't bring Cody back, but it'd help for sure. I appreciate Phil for his patience and dedication. I would most certainly recommend. Thank you, Phil Konisha. On making sure Cody paid his premiums. You know, he let it lapse once. I said, you need this. I said, you've got to have this. He got himself up. I didn't think he'd need the life piece on it, but a couple months later, he was a boxer and he broke a couple knuckles, so we paid him for that. And then 2 days before he got shot, because I always used to love to see Cody on University Avenue there, because he'd always be sitting out on his bench, probably getting stoned, having a good time, just enjoying life, right? But I'd always stop. If I saw him, I'd stop, because I just loved the guy. Young kid, 2 kids, and he was going to up this program. He was going to move it up one level. And he goes, this was a Thursday before he got shot. And I said, let's do it now. And he said, no. He goes, we'll talk next week. And I said, okay. And then I found out that Sunday from Prince. You ever heard Prince Kumi? He does a lot of podcasts and stuff. He's a St. Paul guy. He's a barber in St. Paul.
Okay.
But he runs a lot of podcasts and stuff. You ever Facebook, just kind of Prince Kumi, Kumi. He's a big community guy over there and stuff. And that's how I found out that Cody had been killed. And so then the next morning I was up and I met Quenisha and Cody's brother Troy, who's now a client of mine. So, it was, but if he wouldn't have had that, they would have got nothing. And he had only paid on it. He was on a step lower than you. He was paying $17.20 a month.
Oh, okay.
He paid hardly anything into it, and we paid him over $10,000, but it was something. And like Quenisha said, there's a lot of things that it helped us pay for, and it's just and like yours is $20,000, and there's one level up that's $40,000 if something happens, but it's amazing. Like I told you earlier, Twan, it's the hearing the stuff that I just want to make sure that if something happens to me, I'm buried, or I've got something coming in, but then they're worried about getting hurt too and injured. So
yeah,
but yeah, that's so you hear, and I hear a lot of stories, and it's kind of, and I've talked to old Big Cuts out there. He runs Clean Cuts over there. He's been in jail. He got me advertising. He does digital flyers.
Oh, okay.
You heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a great guy. If you ever get a chance to go talk to him, go do it.
So next time
phenomenal guy. But so Damon, he helped me. He helped me put together a flyer with my face on it. You need your face up here, I'm like, I don't need my.
Yeah, man, you definitely got to get it.
But he did help me too, but he's a guy who told me all his stories and shit. Now he's running a pretty nice, he's building himself something outside of the barber thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're kind of looking.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
And he still does it. He's got his VIPs, he's got his boys, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, you definitely got to.
But he's, but he doesn't have to worry about the everyday shit. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, Phil, man, we definitely got to get you cause we gonna sit down and do something, put something together.